Patchy Mix has just signed with the UFC and he fights Mario Bautista at UFC 316. Now, this begs the question, who is Patchy Mix? What makes him exciting? And how does he match up with the rest of the bantamweight division? Patchy Mix is a former Bellator world champion holding an incredible record of 20-1 with 13 submissions, 2 knockouts, and 5 decisions. He has an extremely exciting grappling fighting style with a multitude of different submissions and a long, wiry frame that boasts some interesting striking to go along with his grappling. He has great wins over people like Kyoji Horiguchi, Sergio Pettis, Magomed Magomedov, and Rafion Stotts. So let's take a look at how he fights. The bread and butter of Patchy Mix's style is taking the back. A lot of commentators have referred to him as the human backpack. He's very similar to Aljamain Sterling in that regard, except he's got a variety of submissions, from rear naked chokes to Servolev stretches, all from the back. This is made even better by his long, wiry frame, allowing him to reach for certain submissions that the average person wouldn't normally be able to do. Imagine if O'Malley was primarily a jiu-jitsu fighter. You'd see some very interesting scrambles and exchanges. That is kind of what Patchy Mix is. Now, what makes his back control so incredibly good is his reliance on the body triangle over having traditional hooks in. The body triangle is essentially just a triangle lock around the body. It's really effective. It constricts breathing. It's really tough to get out of, and it just allows for a lot more control. And the whole way to defend a body triangle, to get out of a body triangle lock, is to try and get the lock side to the mat. However, Patchy will constantly switch which side he has the lock on during grappling exchanges to ensure that he's constantly got control. This made even better by the fact that he will do damage on the ground. He is not just a submission specialist. He will club you with punches and elbows, getting a lot of momentum with those long limbs and just hammering down on you. Now, Patchy often likes to get this position standing due to his height and then his ability, because he's such a big bantamweight, he can use that as an advantage to eventually just kind of sag on the opponent to crush them down and get them on the mat where he can just tower over people. His most impressive, rear naked choke, I'd say, came against Sergio Pettis, where he kind of just pitched a shutout in the grappling, was able to get the back, smother him, and just get a clean choke. Not even with the bend in the arm. He really was more of a forearm choke. But again, you have those long limbs. He uses it to the best of his potential. He does remind me quite a lot of Aljamain Sterling with an even longer reach, and I really just love the way that he maintains back control with the use of that body triangle and with the use of the ground and pound, and how he just prioritizes that over anything else. Patchy isn't just some jiu-jitsu guy with no takedowns. He actually started off as a wrestler. He has a multitude of different ways to get to the fight to the ground. He prefers to wrestle against the cage. He'll often duck under punches, go for a single, and then drive his opponent to the cage, traveling all the way across the octagon. Then he'll usually switch to a double leg and slowly sag his opponents to the mat, or he'll get his hands behind the butt, pick them up, and dump them. Or he can pass over and get the back standing, where he can either drag people down or simply take the back standing, where he can impose his weight and his size to slowly crush his opponents down, push off of the cage, and get them to where he wants them. There's also the times where someone's shot in on him and he's pulled a guillotine, but those are few and far between. Now let's talk about his striking. Patchy Mix is a very long, tall, and big bantamweight. And he is a southpaw, so he loves attacking that rear knee, the rear kick, just poking at range, and he has a decent 1-2. However, all of his strikes very clearly are to set up his takedowns. He is not all that comfortable in prolonged exchanges on the feet. He doesn't have, too exceptional footwork. He doesn't move his head too much. He's very content on just kind of plodding forward with his own strikes and just sticking to what he knows, which isn't too incredibly advanced. It's good enough to hang in there and not get finished. Albeit there have been times in fights where he's got tagged up a little more than I think he should have. However, he does still manage to be dangerous with these weapons, slamming in that rear body kick and having that awesome KO of Rafael Stotts with that perfectly timed knee. But his striking does leave quite a bit to be desired, separate from his grappling. So how does Patchy Mix match up with the rest of the bantamweight division? So first of all, I think he beats Mario Bautista. He will likely take it to the ground, and I think Mario will almost invite it to go to the ground. And I think Patchy is as good as anyone at bantamweight. He also has very good kicks. They could mix in Batista's taller fighter, long torso. Those kicks can land. Those knees can land as well. If he starts to draw Mario in, that could work as well. And I feel like Patchy is just going to be pretty imposing to Bautista. I think Patchy can beat guys like Rob Font, Marlon Vera, who struggle with the takedown defense and jiu-jitsu aspect of things. Same with like a Davison Figueiredo. But guys like O'Malley, Piotr would give him a lot of trouble because they can defend the takedowns and do some serious damage on the feet. Umar definitely can outstrike him and hang in the grappling. However, I do feel Umar would play into Patchy's strengths on the ground, but that could have some very interesting scrambles. Now, Merab is a matchup that does interest me. Merab isn't the cleanest of strikers, but he's very good with pace, and Patchy's cardio has looked decent, but Patchy represents a jiu-jitsu threat that Merab has simply never faced at a very, very high level before. And that, along with the size and the ability to time knees as someone comes in, could be extremely, extremely interesting. However, I do see Patchy failing to sort of break into that title fight with a key win, as the top 3 and 4 opponents pose very, very difficult stylistic issues for him to solve. However, he will be an excellent, excellent addition to the UFC roster. He's a very, very exciting fighter. He's got a lot of talent. He's fairly young. He's 31. He's fighting Bautista, so he's immediately going to go into the top 10 if he does win. And we can definitely get some good fights out of him. So I'm very happy for Patchy that he's finally in the UFC. I always wanted to kind of see him in there. And with the PFL botching the Bellator acquisition, it was only a matter of time. So anyway, guys, leave your thoughts on Patchy Mix below. Leave your thoughts on how he does in the UFC, against Bautista, all that kind of stuff. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.